photosynthesis plus cellular respiration of an orchid. The equation for photosynthesis is 6H2O plus 6CO2 plus sunlight is equal to CHO612 plus 6O2.
First stage of photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplast. These are the main structures of the chloroplast. In the chloroplast is a thylakoid, and inside the thylakoid, the light-dependent reaction occurs.
To kick off photosynthesis in the light-dependent cycle, sunlight hits electrons in the chlorophyll. They get excited and hitch a ride on a mobile electron carrier. Because an electron leaves, it goes split, and oxygen leaves the cell through the stoma.
The next process of the light-dependent reaction is the electron transport chain, or ETC. First, this means that hydrogens are brought into the thylakoid membrane, which is then transported into the electron transport chain because there are negatives that are being charged to the positives. This then goes through photosystem 1 and then goes to the reductase, which makes NAD plus into NADPH by 2 hydrogen molecules being bonded to it, and this is an energy carrier molecule. Then it goes to the ATP synthase, and ADP is converted into ATP by adding an inorganic phosphate group. This leads us to our next process, the Calvin cycle.
Light-independent cycle, otherwise known as the Calvin cycle, which occurs in the shown that happens when 3 carbon dioxides bond with RUBP, which makes it unstable, so it breaks. And then ATP is entered, and then it adds like a group onto it. Then NADPH adds a hydrogen group on it, turning back into NADPH plus. And in reduction, G3P is made, and through regeneration, ATP is turned into ADP, and NADPH is turned into NADP plus to power the light-dependent cycle.
Glycolysis, which is the first step of cellular respiration, is an anaerobic process which occurs in the cytoplasm. Glucose, which is a product of photosynthesis, goes through glycolysis, which is when it gets split into 2 pyruvic acids. The products of this are 4 ATP, 2 NADH, and 2 pyruvic acids. 2 ATPs are used during this process to make a total of 2 net ATPs.
Oxygen is present, it goes into the intermediate step, which occurs in the matrix.
The intermediate step is when the 2 pyruvic acids created from glycolysis is transformed into 2-acetyl-CoA, 2 NADH, and 2 CO2. This then follows into the Krebs cycle, which occurs in the mitochondrial matrix. The Krebs cycle occurs in the mitochondrial matrix when 2 acetyl-CoAs are oxidized into 2 CO2s, and the products of this process are 2 FADH, 6 NADH, 2 ATP, and 4 CO2, because this process has to go 2 times to oxidize 1 glucose molecule.
Is the electron transport chain. This occurs in the mitochondrial membrane, and it is when through the electron transport chain, hydrogens enter the cell membrane. This causes a concentration gradient, which causes the AT synthase to start going. This is when the NADH turns into ATP as well as the 2 FADHs. For every NADH, 3 ATPs are made, and for every FADH, 2 ATPs are made, making for a grand total of a net worth of 36 ATP molecules, which can then be used for laser. This means that the NADH, because it loses a hydrogen, turns back into NAD+, which then gets used back in photosynthesis, and then everything is a cycle.
Products of photosynthesis are the reactants of cellular respiration, and this is an important factor to remember because it is all a cycle, which means that photosynthesis provides what humans need for oxygen through the atmosphere, and cellular respiration provides what plants need for energy and for humans for food as well. The orchid is a C3 plant because it goes through the normal process of photosynthesis of the 3 CO2s being synthesized into glucose. Thank you for listening to me, Talani, and Isabella's presentation on the orchid, photosynthesis, and cellular respiration cycle.